In this video, I'm going to show you some very simple product photo setups that you can do at home to achieve photos like these. So let's get started. For the first setup, it's going to be super simple. So you'll grab any piece of construction paper that you have. This is from Universal Savage, and that's just cut it up. Or you can also grab some colored poster boards. I got this from my local craft store, Hobby Lobby, or you can go to your grocery stores and check out the supply section. Sometimes they have colored poster boards. Or you can also grab yourself some vinyl backdrops from places like Club Backdrops. And I'll link that below as well. So all you do is you take a chair, that's all you need, and you have these little clamps. And these clamps you can get on Amazon. I'll link those below as well. And you just clamp on the backdrop to the chair. And then you create a bit of a sweep so that you can create a very seamless background to achieve a smooth background on your product photo. And we're just going to do that and just make sure there's no creases on the construction paper. And then you can just place your product in the middle. And this works really well too for those listing shots or e-commerce photos for products. You can also do a mug, or you can also do a little plant. So whatever your product is, this setup works really well for it. So we're going to start with the first product, and we're going to place this in the middle. We're going to be using a very affordable softbox light. So this is the newer softbox lighting kit. I'll link this one below too. And while this is not my preferred lighting setup for bright and also affordable lighting setups, this does work really well. So I'm going to show you here how I would position this light. So I'm going to go direct to the side. So the reason why I like this lighting setup is because the light is coming from one side, which then casts some natural shadows on the opposite side, which looks very natural. And we will take care of that little glare here in a second. But another thing I want to show you is that if you grab a white foam board, now a lot of the times you'll see me do this, especially on my Instagram reels, where I place the foam board on the opposite side where the light is coming from, because this will even out the light. And that is because it does reduce shadows. So if you look here, the light bounces off of this board, creating more light on the opposite side. Now, for a lot of my photos, I'll do that. But for this one in particular, or for this setup, I do want to cast some shadows here because it will create some kind of dimension. It'll create more depth so that the photo is not so flat. And when you have soft light and you do this right here, it evens out the light pretty well, but it sometimes can cause the photo to look kind of flat. So I would rather just do it without the foam board. Okay, so I'll give you a more of a close-up here. This is without the foam board, and this is with the foam board. So you kind of see it almost starts kind of fading away the details of the product, if that makes sense. So I do like some shadow there, because with that shadow here and right here, it creates a little bit more depth, and you can see more of the details of the product. So very similar with a plant like this, for example. So this is without the foam board, right? And with it, it evens out the light, but again, it kind of makes it flat. And I really like that shadow here because, again, it creates more depth, more dimension to the image. Now, when you are shooting something reflective like this, you will catch that glare of the softbox. Even though this diffuser does help diffuse the light, it's not enough to get rid of that glare that is casting on the product. So you want a diffuser, another diffuser, to go in front of the light so you can create a beautiful highlight rather than an ugly glare. So let me show you a close-up. So you can see the glare of the softbox here where it's falling, but whenever you add the diffuser in front of the light, you will reduce those glares and make it a beautiful highlight. Now, if you want to get creative with your lighting, you can use the Godox SL60W. And this is super easy to use. You just turn it on and crank it up to 100. And you can also add a softbox to diffuse the light for a natural look. But I love the hard light for those hard shadows, bold shadows kind of photos. And what you do is you place it to the side, kind of like hovering over the product, but also not so close to where the lights are too strong. So let's say this time you're photographing a beauty product and you want to play with some shadows like this. You want this hard light so that you can cast some shadows. You just place a little leaf, palm leaf that I got from Amazon too. You just kind of place it in front of the light to cast those beautiful shadows. So here's a close-up of what you could create with a setup like this. So whenever you set up your camera, you can do something like this. And by the way, this is an entry-level camera. It runs around $500 on Amazon. I'll link it below. It's a Canon Rebel T7. And I'm just gonna angle it kind of to the side for this particular photo. You can use different angles, of course. You can use different angles with this specific setup. You can also use a straightforward angle when you're shooting from this way. But for this particular photo, I'm going to shoot at a 45-degree angle, and I usually will put it on a timer, especially if I'm actually holding the leaves up to create those shadows. So hopefully you can start seeing that you don't need complex setups to achieve great product photos. Even if you're shooting with your smartphone, you can achieve great photos like this one right here. I actually took with my iPhone and using one backdrop and one light. I hope this video was helpful. Let me know in the comments what else you would like to see.